The sky pulsed white one last time, brighter than lightning. Then the world exhaled into silence. Engines stalled on the highways, planes drifted like dying birds, and every screen went black. No fireball, no mushroom cloud, just the invisible hand of an EMP wave, stripping the wires and chips of their power. Humanity discovered in an instant what it felt like to be thrown backwards a century. The government didn't collapse overnight, it starved. Communications were gone, fuel pumps frozen, banks erased. Within days, emergency broadcasts stopped. Armories were raided, not by foreign armies, but by men with badges who realized their pensions had evaporated. In Washington, the last desperate orders to restore calm went unheard. Because calm was no longer an option. Cities became coffins. Without refrigeration, food rotted. Without water pumps, towers ran dry. The strong preyed on the weak until the strong starved too. Survivors fled like rats to the countryside, where farmland and wells promised at least a chance. This is where the new tribes began. Not tribes of blood, but of necessity. A farmer with land and seed became as valuable as a warlord with rifles. Mechanics who remembered how to repair carburetors were worth their weight in silver. Doctors were priests now, and every tribe guarded theirs like treasure. I was 13 when my mother led us out of Sacramento. We walked east, following a road littered with dead cars and stripped trucks, their fuel tanks punctured. By the time we reached the foothills, she had gathered a dozen others, an ex-cop, 2 brothers from a biker gang, a nurse, a grandmother with jars of seeds, and people like us, frightened, carrying more memories than supplies. Fear fused us together, fear and hunger. In those early months, battles were constant. Not wars, not armies, just raids at dawn, ambushes on trails, men and women fighting over sacks of flour or a crate of canned beans. The old morality dissolved with the power grid, but brutality wasn't the only path. Tribes that relied only on violence burned out fast, turning on each other when the plunder dried up. The groups that survived were the ones that learned to trust, to divide labor, to plant instead of steal. Slowly, order returned, not from the ashes of government, but from the raw mathematics of survival. We built our camp along the river. We cut trees for walls, dug pits for latrines, fashioned fishing lines out of stripped copper. Nights were fire-lit councils where we debated who would guard, who would barter, who would risk traveling to the next valley. The old world had presidents and senators. We had whoever could argue best while keeping their blade sharp. Across the ridges, rival tribes grew. Some became trading partners. Others were nightmares whispered to children. The Ash Road clan, who wore the bones of their kills, or the Black Hounds, whose dogs were fed more faithfully than their slaves. Alliances shifted like sand. Today we shared salt and grain. Tomorrow we clashed over a forgotten orchard. After the second winter, the scavenging ended. Gasoline was stale, batteries long dead, canned food spoiled. What remained was what could be grown, hunted, built with bare hands. The battlefield for supplies shifted from cities to soil. Wheat fields were raided like banks. Wells were guarded tighter than gold. Knowledge itself became a currency: how to tan hides, cure meat, grind grain without machines. Those who remembered became kings. Those who refused to learn became corpses. As the years passed, tribes carved their marks into the land. Symbols painted on rocks warned strangers where one territory ended and another began. Some dreamed of rebuilding nations, of raising banners again. Others preferred the silence, the honesty of a world where survival was never abstract. I watched children grow who had never seen a light bulb, never heard the buzz of a refrigerator. To them, the EMP wasn't a disaster. It was the story of how the world began. And maybe that's what we became, not survivors of an ending, but founders of a beginning. The tribes would fight, yes, and bleed for every mouthful of grain, but they would also band together against the cold, against raiders, against despair. Because stripped of electricity, stripped of government, stripped of every comfort, the only power left was the one thing the blast couldn't erase: the stubborn, furious instinct of humans to form a circle around the fire and keep living.